Greetings, fellow ImagineCrafters. It is I, Exum, here to show you something that I have been working on, and I do feel it is ready to go. At least as far as the first testing phase of it, of course. And then I'm talking about the ImagineCraft Warp Management System. And you might be thinking, what the heck is that? That's a mouthful. Well, as you know, currently, in order to get a warp on the server, you must play 10 hours, put in a warp request form, look at the F3 screen to get your coordinates, all this stuff, submit it on the forums, and you got to wait around for myself, Momo, or Artex to get around to it. And we're usually pretty speedy. We'll get you that day. You know, it's not even a full 24 hours. And then you can go back to and fro. Well, with this, that whole process is going to disappear. So, here you are on the server, you play your 10 hours, you make this awesome base. Like I said, totally awesome base. And then you're just going to need to get a sign. And with your sign, you're just going to go ahead and throw it up there, do an open bracket, the word warp, just like this, the number 2, and then 2 capital C's, like Charlie, and close your bracket. At this moment, we click on done, and apparently I have a warp somewhere else. Haha! So, let's just do a retake. Click on done, and you'll notice here that I now have my warp got set to 1. I have a warp at these coordinates. I have 1 warp, and I can't move my warp until the 10th of May, which is 7 days away. So there will be a time limit on that, and that might change a little bit because I really don't want to have people moving the warps around all willy-nilly. So, if we actually right-click on this now, because I'm going to go ahead and leave my awesome base, I got to connect with the community, and this is the amplified world that I have a snapshot of right now. So this will work cross-world, which is a pretty hefty improvement because before we didn't have that implemented. So you right-click on the warp sign, and a moment later you will pop up and you'll be at the new CC. And of course facing north, that's how this works. This is not the cool snapshot. Oh, you know what, I do have the snapshot that had the banners there. So you can see, you know, we've got the different sneak peek icons here at the top, but we also got the cool banner idea that Buffy had suggested that we put in there. So, lots of good suggestions from everyone. Keep them coming. We're always looking for ways to improve on the server. Lots of ideas that I don't think of myself. So, you just arrived at the new community center. You want to go ahead and grab a mailbox. So I'm treating myself like I just got here. I've been playing 10 hours, and now I need to go figure out where I'm going to go put my mailbox. Well, we all know there's only one choice. And let me go ahead and activate my cool speed button right there. There's only one choice, man. It's ocean. Ocean for life. Alright, so we're just going to haul booty back here into Bubbles the Shark. And thank you, Dan, for the Ocean for Life banners that we are all representing here. So Ocean for Life, everybody. And here is my mailbox pillar. So if you're a brand new player, you're going to find an empty one like this. You're also going to need to update your location on the wiki. And we'll have staff do your on-time signs up here. So there's little codes you got to put in here for this. But anyway, we need to be able to get away back to our awesome base that we made. So I'm going to throw up a sign, open bracket again. We're going to do warp to base. So close my bracket, click on done. You'll notice here that it also gives me more text information. We'll talk about all that in a moment. And if I right click on this, okay, boom. Here I am going back. Here's my sign, warp to CC. I'm back at my awesome base build that I just did here. Check me out. This is epic, guys, let me tell you. So, there I was, played for 10 hours, built my base. Now I have a functioning warp system, and I didn't need any assistance in getting it all together. Anybody can come on by and use my warp. Doesn't matter. So, let's talk about the rule sets behind this. You know, like what can you do, what can't you do, what will the system let me do, that sort of thing. So, you'll notice I already have a warp sign right here. So let's say that I, went 2,000 blocks in this direction and I was like, man, I'm going to go ahead and make myself another warp. Alright, so here I go again, throw down my sign, warp to CC, close my bracket, click on done. You'll notice that this sign is completely blank. And I have a notification down here that says I have exceeded the maximum number of warps. Maximum warps allowed is 1, current warps is 1, and it tells me here that the last warp sign location is at those coordinates right there. Which is really important because now you'll know where to go in case you forgot that you already had a base somewhere. You'll notice that if we pull that up again, 717, if we look at my little mini map over here on the top right hand corner with the coordinates, we got 718, 190, 165 is very close to the coordinates here. I'm just one block over from this sign. So you could easily find it. So if you want to go ahead and move it, you're just going to need to come over here, smash your sign, bam! And at which point it will tell me I just destroyed my warp sign. I now have 0 warps. Maximum is 1, and it lets me know feel free to relocate your warp sign somewhere else. So at that moment in time, maybe I didn't like it on the front of my house, and I waited that 7 or 30 days period, whatever it's going to end up being after testing. Let's say I want to put it over here. So warp to CC, go ahead and click on done, and you'll notice that it automatically puts my name on this sign, so everyone knows that this is my warp. No other player can come over here and smash this sign. It's protected. The only person that can smash this sign is you and the admin team. So Momo, myself, Artex. That's it. Mods can't. Nobody can jack up your sign. Okay, so that's right there. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to do the warp delete thing here. Whoops, warps delete. And that just, for testing's sake, clears all my variables out. It's going to forget that I put a warp to base sign in the CC. Let's say that I wanted to do a warp to base sign over here. Let's say that's my buddy's base. And instead of going to the community center, I say, you know what, bump the community center. I'm going to put my warp to base over my friend's base. And I'm going to just have a two-way warp that goes from between my base and my friend's base. So I'm going to click done. You'll notice here we get an error. You may only place warp to base signs in the community center. So if you try to be slick, it's not going to let you. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you get that message, you need to go to the community center. Okay, that's where that belongs. So you can't have two. You can't have two of any of these kind of signs unless you have an increased maximum, which is going to only come from server wishes, and at this time is not implemented. So, do I feel that this is going to be pretty cool? You bet! Okay, so if you see anything wrong with these, let me know. We're going to start out rolling out with a small beta team, so if you would like to be involved in the Warp Management System beta, I'm just going to need you to go ahead and sign up on wherever I announce this video at, put a little post in there, but then I also want you to send me a private message, okay, and I want you to put in the private message, actually, you know what, don't send me a private message. Just put on there that furnaces are hot, okay, so in your response to me, just do furnaces are hot, okay, and I'm going to take the first 10 people that are paying attention to the forums that actually want to give this a whirl. So furnaces are hot. You put that in your reply somewhere. Don't make it super obvious now. Don't be like, oh my god, XM, I'm only going to be in this beta test. The code word is furnaces are hot. Don't do that, okay? Just slip it somewhere in there casually in your conversation, like, oh my god, this is such a great idea. Like, wow, this is hotter than furnaces are hot. See how I did that? Isn't that great? So that's what we're going to do, and then this way you can replace your warp button, and we'll roll out with using the signs, which can take you anywhere. You can go make a base in AMP now. You can, the Nether, wherever it is you want to make a base, okay, or at your existing base. So whatever you want to do, and as a part of this, you also get super speed when you come in. You don't even need to press the button, okay. So just trying to streamline things a little bit for everybody, and like I said, I hope everyone has a really great time. If you're participating in the test, just want to go ahead and point out real quick, if you run into any errors, you need to be able to try and reproduce it for me and give me the steps on what happened. And you're more than welcome to just reply to this thread. That's more than fine. And as part of the commands that you'll have, it'll be /warps debug. So that just prints out for me what you have as far as how many warps do you have, what's your max, and your base warps. Okay, and right now I don't actually have it in place now for anything other than 1 warp right now. Coding will come a little later for that, just because there's only like a handful of people that actually have more than 1 warp, and no one has more than 2 at the moment. Let's see, I think that is almost everything I wanted to discuss except for one thing, and that is that when you are teleporting around, so let's say that someone wants to use my warp up here. So I've got my warp sign up here on my pillar. What I decided to build in at the suggestion of Lego, as we did a quick test on the dev environment just now, is that it'd be kind of cool to know who's coming to your base. So anytime there's a right click that happens, you'll notice a couple of things here. One, you're not going to be able to see the tail, but a tail will actually go through to you from the server that says that so-and-so is coming to your base. So you're going to get a heads up someone's coming on by. So that'll be good. Kind of like a little doorbell thing. And maybe, you're going to have to limit pranking to when someone's offline, just to kind of throw that out there. You're going to have to definitely be a little sneakier. And you'll notice here that it also said console IRC staff, okay, XM use XM's warp to base. So admins have always been able to know who teleports where. That's just the way, because we show command blocks on the server. And back in the day, we used to know everyone's coordinates. This was, like a year ago when we only had like 5 people coming on, but we've had such a phenomenal growth with this server. We've been doing so great. And, I thank all of you that have been here for a long time. And for those that, even if you're new, just being here is helping out with having more people on the server. And I'm on dev, so there's just me. But, we're definitely growing, and it's a little harder to know those coordinates nowadays. So what we're doing is right here in staff chat, right now it just shows everything that happens for warps, but we're actually probably going to trim that down to just showing pretty much the doorbell approach when someone else uses somebody's warp, just to kind of give us a little extra edge on knowing what somebody is doing. And what I mean by that is we had someone not too long ago that was going around raiding, warping around a lot and raiding out of unprotected spaces, or people who didn't have lock-it on their chests. We ended up banning that person, of course, but it would be a little bit more quick and more efficient, if you will, if we're just actively watching it real time in our chat. So our staff gets a lot of notifications to help us out with things that we need to investigate, and this will be yet another tool in our arsenal to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to make sure that we capture and deal with thieves or someone who's trolling around at bases, griefing, whatever it might end up being. So we all know that ImagineCraft only has like 1 ban a month, so it's not like this is a super big deal, but I like having it in place. So I'm always looking out for you guys. And I hope you appreciate the doorbell functionality that Lego recommended. So, if you have any suggestions on ways to make this a little better, let me know. But the main focus right now is to make sure that it works. So, do make sure that we test the mess out of this. I want to make sure everything is good. And if you think of any exploitations with this, let me know that too, so I can go ahead and code things in, because we do want to preserve the vanilla feel. We're not about teleporting all around the server. The only teleports that we do are very controlled with the warp buttons and now warp signs. So thank you very much for listening to the video, watching the video, and if you're going to participate in the test, you have my thanks in advance for that and for any possible feedback that you send. So I'm just really appreciative. So hope you enjoy it. We're making progress as always. Over and out.